Hi, everybody. My name is Brenna Cantner. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and am the Therapeutic Services Coordinator for Nexus Youth and Family Services, which is a small nonprofit organization in Jackson that provides pretty amazing services to the children and families in our community. So, with the current circumstances of the world and the pandemic that we are all experiencing, we decided to give you some resources on how to weather the storm, some tips for staying calm during these really uncertain times. And we have daily changes happening and orders to stay inside and isolate from others. And it's important to have some ideas of how you can support yourself and your family during this time. So I'm really hoping this PowerPoint can be helpful for you to give you some tips and ideas of how to take care of yourself and your family during this process. So what does it mean to stay calm in these uncertain times? There are so many sources of stress during this pandemic, and it's incredibly normal to feel anxiety when there is such significant impact to our everyday life. And so many sources of information coming at us on Facebook, on the news, in every capacity. So it's really important to develop the ability to implement some coping skills and stay calm, because that means you're less likely to suffer from the effects of stress, anxiety, and worry. And if you can take care of yourself, you're going to pass that down to your kids and let them know that it's going to be okay. There's not really a difference between reasonable anxiety, too much anxiety. There's no bar that we're trying to get to, or there's no bar to pass before it's important to take care of yourself. If you feel it, you feel it, and it's okay. And it's just about implementing some strategies that can be helpful during this time. Okay, so first thing, know you're not alone. Fear and uncertainty are the primary responses to things that people don't understand or things that might threaten safety of either you or a loved one. Feelings of anxiety, feelings of being unsafe, having a hard time sleeping, all normal. We might feel really alone in the midst of the directives to socially isolate, but we're all doing the best we can with the information that we have and trying to figure out how to get through this. So it's important to stay connected and talk about what you're experiencing and feeling. Find creative ways to stay connected to your friends and your family, either just with the phone call, email, texting, social media, FaceTime. I know that friends of ours, we've been doing this game that you basically take turns, right? The Words with Friends and those types of games where you can kind of stay connected and be silly and just have fun in the midst of this and stay connected to your people. Okay, so next, managing your media diet. In events such as the one we are experiencing, research shows that as people's media exposure increases, so do feelings of distress. There's a thin line between being informed and obsessed with getting the information. And when you find that the information you're getting is fueling your fear rather than just keeping you updated, it's really important to give yourself space from the news, take a step back, dial down your exposure to the media content. It's about balance and staying informed without feeling overwhelmed. Kind of along with that, it's important to limit where you're getting your updates from. Rely on trusted sources of information. Scrolling through Facebook, you're going to get so many different opinions, thoughts. Some of it may be accurate, some of it may be not, but it's important to make sure you're getting accurate information when you have so much information coming at you all the time from the internet, TV, radio, newspapers, all of that stuff. It's just really important to give yourself some space and make sure you're managing the information that you're getting. Okay, along the lines of what we were just talking about, getting your information from a trusted source. The CDC, World Health Organization, the California Department of Public Health, they all have the correct, most updated information about the coronavirus. So knowing the facts will help stop spread rumors, which in turn helps stop increasing the fear and uncertainty towards those around us. So this fact sheet is directly from the CDC. Fact number 1, diseases can make anyone sick regardless of their race or ethnicity. Fact number 2, for most people, the immediate risk of becoming seriously ill from the virus that causes COVID-19 is thought to be low. We've seen on the news that the people that are having complications with COVID-19 are people that have underlying conditions such as diabetes, lung disease, heart disease. Fact number 3, someone who has completed quarantine or has been released from isolation does not pose a risk of infection to other people. Fact number 4, there are simple things that you can do to keep yourself and others healthy, and the biggest one is washing your hands. We've had conversations with our local public health department of how our agencies should proceed. The biggest thing that everyone is saying is wash your hands, wash them well, wash them with warm water and soap for at least 20 seconds, especially after you blow your nose, cough, sneeze, go to the bathroom. Wash your hands before eating or preparing food. Avoid touching your eyes and your nose and your mouth with unwashed hands. Staying at home when you're sick, covering your coughs and sneezes. All of those things are normal things that most of us do when we're ill anyway. So it's not necessarily new information. It's about just taking care of yourself, and taking care of yourself is a way of taking care of others around you. Knowing the signs of fever, cough, shortness of breath. Seek medical advice if you develop any of the symptoms or have been exposed to it. But knowing the information, the factual information, will ease your fear, ease the fear of your family, and those around you. So just make sure you know the facts and get information from a good source. Okay, the next tip is sticking to a routine. Our worlds are pretty uprooted right now with our kids not being in school for an unknown period of time, being directed to stay inside, and not necessarily inside, but staying at home. It's easy to end up in your pajamas and kind of hanging out all day. So when your typical routine and schedule are upended, it can be calming and grounding to create a new routine in what our new normal is right now. So setting a schedule for yourself and your family, whether you're telecommuting, homeschooling your kids, it's important to get up, have regular meals, eat healthy, get enough sleep, reading books, doing puzzles, playing board games. And my big one right now is exercising, get outside. There are so many companies right now that in the midst of the world circumstances are wanting to keep people healthy. So I know there are companies like Beachbody, for example, they are doing free workouts for 2 weeks. Yoga girl Rachel Brathen is doing 30 days of yoga that can be accessed on her webpage. There's so many free exercise routines of all types on YouTube. So it's accessible, and even though our gyms are closed and you know, it's important to still get some exercise and go for a walk, take your kids for a bike ride down the street. Getting outside and getting fresh air is important, but sticking to a routine is going to help get you and your family through these self-quarantines, isolation, directives to stay at home. All right, so the next tip is looking out for others. It's really important to focus on what you can control rather than what you can't. wash your hands, follow the social distancing guidelines, and keep your loved ones safe. Supporting others can give people a sense of purpose during uncertain times because we're all in this together. So like I was mentioning before, doing what you can to stay connected, checking on your senior neighbor, shopping local. I know in Amador County, we have so many local businesses, restaurants, artisans. They are all willing to deliver. They are all willing to meet curbside. We have an amazing small community here, and there's a lot that we can do to support local businesses and just supporting each other and keeping an eye out and having each other's backs, even though we have to be at least 6 feet apart. So figure out how you can support the people around you. That'll help. Okay, so being mindful, being grateful, not knowing what the future holds is one of the main reasons why people feel so anxious. It's important to focus on the present. I know for me, one of the things that keeps going through my mind is, how long are things going to be like this? And so that definitely has been something that I've thought a lot about, and just how long is it going to look like this? How long is it going to be? How long will this be our normal instead of what our regular normal is? And so it's really important to focus on the present. Things are changing day to day across the world, across the country, across the state, just across our county. So focus on the present and just try to take it day by day, because it's not going to do us any good kind of perseverating on what may or may not happen, or how long this will last. It's just kind of about being present, focusing on what is here now in front of us and how we can stay healthy. Practicing meditation or other mindfulness exercises. Again, I know Monterey Bay Aquarium just released these different meditation videos. I think they're calling it Meditotion because it's sounds of Monterey Bay. So there's so many different things like that. And I think there are so many companies that are putting out in the world goodness and happiness in order to put some light out in the world. I know a lot of musicians are posting live videos of like little mini concerts that they're doing to just kind of get the happy out in the world. So being grateful, recognizing what's positive in your life, in the world, rather than focusing on the negative, which I think it's a really beautiful thing that there are artists and people out there trying to just post the light and the happy to fill maybe some gaps in breaking up our social media scrolling, that we'll see happy pictures instead of every post being about the pandemic and coronavirus and what our world's experiencing. So I'm a big proponent for self-care, whether we are in a pandemic or not. So use this time for your benefit. I've given a list here of 28 days of self-care, mental, social, adventure, environment, spiritual, physical, emotional. Self-care, especially in times of stress and uncertainty, is so important to maintain. It improves our bodily functions, increases positive thinking, makes us less susceptible to stress. Other ways you can take care of yourself: take your dog for a walk, guided meditation, express gratitude, read a book, paint, bake some cookies, write in a journal, garden. I have a friend who does social media for her job. She's a social media manager for a company, and they started a challenge that to write down something you're grateful for every time you see something related to the coronavirus. And I feel like I would be writing all day long, but kind of keeping with some of these tips, I distanced myself from Facebook. And so when I did hear those information bits about COVID-19, it is important to kind of take a step back and remind yourself of the things that you're grateful for. There are so many different things: reading, setting goals, making a vision board, choosing affirmations, stretching, just relaxing, watching TED Talks, writing letters to people. That can be a way to stay connected. People love getting things in the mail, right? I do. Trying something new. There are so many household things that you can do. Making Play-Doh, slime. I mean, you can make so many different things with stuff that you have in your house. So, and kind of along with that, I thought it was really important to bring up parenting during this. Similar to what we've talked about, routine and stability is what will help your kids be okay during this pandemic. I mean, identifying the things that your family does regularly that you can maintain. You're not going to be able to go to Saturday soccer necessarily. But if your family reads books at night or plays games on Tuesdays or whatever it is, you can offer your children predictability in the bigger uncertainty of the world by doing the things that you normally do as a family. Keeping your kids informed, they hear it, they see it, they know that something is happening even if they don't understand it. So they know things are different, they're intuitive. So keep it simple, keep it age appropriate and fact-based. NPR just released a comic book, if you will, basically a kid's comic of how to explain the coronavirus to kids in an age appropriate way. And so you can either just pull it up on your phone and read through it. You could print it out. I was looking, there's directions on how to fold it because it's a little comic book thing. But there's all kinds of tips and resources like that to help you explain this to your children. And just thinking outside the box, there are some ideas for kids. I feel like most of us have balls in our house, so using a ball and empty water bottles for bowling. You can do a scavenger hunt, which you can do in your house. You can do it in the area that you live in. That'll get you outside. There are so many different scavenger hunt things online, even if it's just finding different types of flowers or things like that. So scavenger hunt, you can play hide the button, you can pick anything you want, but as a family, you could identify a room and take turns hiding something, and then, kind of like Marco Polo, kind of a warmer, hotter, colder kind of thing. Building a fort, having a dance party. You can make a time capsule. You could use a shoebox or an empty Kleenex box or really anything to kind of create a time capsule. You could create conversation cards. So you could write down kind of silly questions about, what superpower would you have if you could have one and why? And what kind of animal would you want to be? Just things like that could just kind of start silly and different conversation. That could be fun for your family. You could probably Google some ideas of what to put on cards. I have a jar of them written on popsicle sticks. I also recently saw, I think that was maybe just today, this whole thing of how to make at-home Play-Doh, how to make at-home watercolors using literally water, food coloring, and popsicle sticks in an ice tray, how to make different paint, and it's all using at-home stuff. And I was looking at the ingredients, and I know for me, I have all of those ingredients that are at home accessible, and so you don't have to leave the house, and you can kind of come up with a new fun activity. So just remember routine and stability and keeping them informed, and figuring out how to do some new fun things as a family to get you through each day. Okay, so here I've included some resources. Use reliable resources to get your information and updates. So I've included the website and phone number for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the World Health Organization. Get your information from those sources. Try to avoid Facebook scrolling. And then so important as a mental health professional, please know how important it is to ask for help if you need it. Tap into the professional help. If you or someone you know are feeling overwhelmed, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be feeling overwhelmed with emotions of stress, sadness, anxiety, fear. Ask for help. And call 911 or go to your nearest emergency room if you are having thoughts of self-harm or harm to others. And then the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration also has a disaster distress helpline that you can call or text. I've also included those numbers. We've got this together. At the end of the day, we will all get through this and we will do it together, even at a distance from each other. So again, I'm coming to you from Nexus Youth and Family Services. We have services for children and families that we can help as well. So please feel to reach out. I've included my information at the bottom of this slide as well. So take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and let us know if you have any questions or need any help. Take care.